Hello, it's me James and welcome back to another Minecraft Bedrock Edition tutorial. So in today's video we're going to be doing basically a XP farm slash mob farm that you can make using multiple mob spawners. Now I'm going to be using the 6 mob spawner seed that I recently showcased, but before we get into the video, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. Again, if you're liking the content I'm producing, smash that like button. For information regarding realms, best place to get me is on the Discord. However, failing to have Discord, you can always add me on the Twitter or the InstaJam, and I'll be happy to get back to you there. So this video will help anyone really that's trying to link multiple spawners together. I'm just doing it with these 6. It's going to be a little bit more complex, but like I said, this one will help you out if you're using like multiple mob spawners and you just want to know how to link them all together. So first of all, what you're going to need to do is obviously find out how many mob spawners you've got. So for example, we've got 6, and we're also going to need to find the activation point of our spawners. So this is the point where we're going to AFK, where all the mobs, where all the spawners, should I say, are going to get activated at the same point. So this is exactly where our kill chamber is going to be. So what you could do right away is just clear a little area inside your kill chamber, just so you've got somewhere to stand. But we're not going to work on this bit just yet. We can come back to this bit, but like I said, you can clear a little bit out straight away if you like. Definitely advisable to do. So, the first major step that you're going to need to do regarding making a multiple mob XP spawner thing is basically you're going to want to clear out the mob spawners. So the mobs can spawn without spawning in any cave. So to do this, all you're going to need to do is basically make 9 by 9 rooms around your mob spawners. That's 4 blocks each side of your mob spawner, and also you probably want to go about 2 above your mob spawner. In addition to this, you're also going to need to move out the floor. So as you can see now, I'm just doing the walls of this one. But you'll need to do it on every single mob spawner. So for example, I'm going 4 blocks out here, and then obviously removing them, and then I'll do that on every single one. So at this point, you're going to want to obviously take out your floor. Like I said, you're going to need to go 6 blocks down. This is going to give the mob spawners the perfect radius to spawn these mobs. So again, I'm going to remove 6 blocks all the way down from this mob spawner, and then I'm going to be back. Again, like I said, you are going to have to do this for every single mob spawner that you do this on. Again, this is going to be the longest process of the whole thing, but eventually you will get to a point where you've got your first one complete. As you can see, we've got a big room like this, and as I said before, we're going to have to do that with every single mob spawner, and this will give you a good idea of which ones link together really closely and which ones obviously don't. So you might need multiple bubble columns. So yeah, like I said, basically you're going to want to do this to every single one, and as you can see here, we've got one that actually links into these 3. We've got 3 that pretty much are in the same room, and then we've got another 2 that are pretty much separate as well. So we've got, like I said, we've got 6 in total. Let me just show you the other 2. Again, we've done this one completely. This one's got a little gap in the side linking to the other one, which is not a huge problem. We can sort that out when we come to it. Let me go down the final one. I think it's this one. Let me just go down, and as you can see, we've got a huge room that we've just dug out on every single one. Again, it might be on different levels, like this bit here, we've got a little gap in between them, but don't let that worry you. We can come to fixing that when we start placing the water. Okay, so at this point, a thing that is definitely going to help you is getting a locator map. So basically what I would do is I'd stand in my kill chamber, and I'd find out the exact position where the kill chamber is. Also, I'd probably put coordinates on if you don't have them on already. So yeah, I'd probably stand in my kill chamber, and then you can come from each spawner and see which direction, like northeast, southwest, you've got to take those bubble columns. Now, you might need to, like, obviously take them into another direction first, because you might have other spawners on top of them or underneath them. So you've really got to work out which way you need these bubble columns to go. Again, this one actually seems pretty straightforward, considering we've actually got 6 spawners. So again, for example, I'm standing in the kill chain, but we know it's in this position, and we know that we're facing the west side. That's exactly where our mobs are going to fall, so we kind of have a good idea of where we are. We just want to make sure we know exactly the direction we need to take these bubble columns in. So it might take a little bit of working out if you've got multiple spawners, but this is pretty vital for your build. So once you know the overall direction of what the spawners, which direction the spawners need to go in, you probably want to start with the most linked up spawners. So I'm going to start with these three. Again, we've got another one linking up there, which makes it 4 in here. So we can also kind of siphon those mobs into this one. So what I'm thinking for this one in regards to the water, we've got kind of like a T shape. So if we go ahead and place a bucket of water there, we can see that that pushes towards the middle. And then what I'm going to do is place another one in that corner. And we can see that that goes into the middle, part of the 2 bits that come around the corner here. But we can sort those bits out just with a few signs. So again, what I'm going to do is actually place enough water so all of this becomes a straight line, like so. Apart from the ones that go around the corner, and then I'm going to take this middle bit out because this is going to offer us the perfect directional opportunity to change the direction of the water, and that way we can push the mobs that fall down in this direction here, and we can push them towards this center. And then we can obviously remove all this center stuff here, which we won't need. Again, you might have to, it's going to be different if you're not using this exact seed. Again, I'll leave the seed in the description, well, the seed showcase that I showcased. And basically, yeah, we want to siphon all of these in one direction. So all of these, when all these mobs start spawning, we need to make sure that they go into one direction. So as you can see here, it might get a little bit confusing, but like I said, with a few signs and just some water, you can actually do quite a lot of damage in regards to how you want to like manipulate the water to get it to flow exactly where you want it. So for here, for example, we can place 2 signs here. Again, the signs will not block any mobs whatsoever. They'll just go straight through the signs, and that's making that go straight to the middle. So what I definitely do from this point is I would start removing all of these blocks here in the front, like so. So for example, if I remove these blocks, we can see that the water carries on flowing. So that's exactly what I do. Like I said, I remove all of these blocks, and we can see how far that the water flows to, and then we can kind of siphon them into one bubble column. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly remove all of these blocks, and when we do remove the blocks, we should start to see a kind of organized system coming together. So as you can see, I've removed the blocks, and we can see that the water flows out like so. Now we can see that it's not completely even. What I would do is place a source block of water in that right there, which is evening it up a little bit more. Again, the water is still flowing towards this back wall, which we need. It all flows in the right direction. Again, that little tradesman guy is actually giving us the perfect opportunity to see where this water is flowing and where it's pushing us. Again, you might need to add multiple buckets of water. Just make sure you don't make any source blocks. Again, now we can see that this perfectly goes to these 3 blocks here. So what I'd probably do from here is just remove any other blocks here, just to see how far that the water starts flowing. And once you know this, you can basically what I would do at this point is, like I said, I'd remove all these blocks, and I would get my signs out, and I would make it so it's an even line where the water stops flowing. Obviously, where the tradesman's standing, you can see some water goes behind him, some water just stops here. But like I said, what I'll do is find the nearest line and just place a load of signs to make the water consistently line up like that, and it all flows into the same line. This point, we can actually make it pretty simple. All we've got to do from here is actually remove these 2. And when we do remove these 2, we can send them into a bubble column. Now, like I said, you might have to mess around with your water a little bit if you're not using this exact seed. It might be different for you. So you've really got to work out the best way possible to siphon these into a bubble column. Making sure you've got no source blocks of water, because if you've got a source block of water, anywhere in this water that we've just placed down, you're going to get mobs that are going to block up the system, and yeah, they're not going to flow into the bubble column, which is obviously making this farm less efficient. So what you can see now, basically I'm making like a little funnel shape, so when we come to place our water, like now, we can place one in each corner like so. It's all going to start funneling into the same area. Now you just want to double check you get no source blocks. See where the trader is. I actually don't notice that straight away, but I do come to it very soon in the video. But you can see that he's standing in a source block of water. He's not actually getting pushed into that bubble column, but we'll come back to the bubble column very soon, as we've got this other spawner to work on at the top. So in regarding this spawner, basically I thought because we've got that gap down there, we can siphon them into the gap. Because these are not spiders anyway, it's actually, we can use it to our benefit. We can just literally place normal water all along the back, how you normally would in a spawner, and then obviously it will flow over here. So again, we're going to get our friends the signs, and these signs are basically just going to stop it from any water flowing over into our other water, which we've already placed, because obviously we don't want any flowing water about. So yeah, just place as many signs as you need. Signs are really going to be important for a multiple mob spawner build like this, because like I say, you can stop the water from flowing. As you can see, all of this is going to flow over because it's not quite long enough. However, the signs are going to do us a real big favor. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Place a load of signs. Super easy, super simple. So as you can see, everything seems to be going okay and flowing into this part of the tradesman. So obviously we know now that that block there is a source block of water. So all you need to do, again, remember, is knock out a block if you've got the room to, and place another bucket of water just to make that flow all the way down. And as you can see, the tradesman is now going into our bubble column. Well, what will be our bubble column. So here, what I'd do in the corner, I'd place a bucket of water there, so it all starts flowing into here, and basically they'll all start getting pushed in the same direction. Again, you can check this out by simply throwing some blocks to see where the blocks actually end up. Again, you want to make sure you do that. Oh, like I said, you want to make sure you double check. Again, just throw some blocks in there. I know we haven't put the signs in yet, but when we remove this sign and add another sign, it should all flow in the right direction. Now, the more effort and time you put into these water streams, just to make sure that none of them are going in the wrong direction that you don't want them to go in, or there's no source blocks, the more time that you put into this, and just make sure that there's no like faults in it, the more efficient this is going to be, the easier it's going to be for your mobs to actually all gather up in the same spot. So from here, what we can actually do is we can actually start working on our first bubble column, and it's super simple, really easy. All you want to do is knock out the blocks like so, all the way till the water stops like flowing. Again, you might need to go further, as you could have, for example, like I have a spawner right above this bubble column where I'm going to make it. So I've made it a little bit longer just by taking it one lower, and the water will continue flowing from there. So now it's pretty simple what we can do. We can go ahead and add some walls in these blocks as like so. Now you want to make sure you don't take this all the way along, and you need to get these in the right position. So the walls will go there. We'll probably have some signs stopping that water from flowing as well. So if we put some signs, for example, each side, you're probably going to need multiple signs here. So what I'll do is place a sign there and a sign that side. I'd probably place another sign on top of that sign, but we can come to that in a moment. I mean, you can waterlog these if you want, but that is not really a requirement. So from here, this is where our soul sand is going to go, obviously pushing our zombies up, which is a vital part of this farm. So we're just going to grab our soul sand. Let me place that there, and we're just going to place 6 pieces of soul sand here. Again, using this 3x2 bubble column, it gives the mobs a little bit more room, especially if there's spiders, to actually go up to the surface. So bear that in mind. I mean, you can make single bubble columns if you really want. However, spiders are obviously not going to get through the single bubble columns, so definitely worth making it a 3 wide bubble column. Again, you want to dig all the way up to the surface with this, and then block any like holes up like I'm doing now. Just make sure that this bubble column is going to be completely solid. Also, of course, the bubbles are not going to flow right to the top. And like I was saying earlier, you're probably going to need to block off this front area with some more signs. So what I'll do on the face of that sign, place another one, and that should sort out that center block. You can then go and do the exact same above that. So you want to place a couple of signs there, another one on that one, and another one here. So I'm just going to leave this one just to show you what will happen if you forget to put a sign. Obviously, I'm sure you know what's going to happen, but basically, if we leave that middle column, the bubble column won't work. So we can go to the top now and actually start placing our water. And we can, obviously, we want to double check that all of these bubble columns will work, because there is a bug in Bedrock at the moment where bubble columns are just a little bit inefficient. They don't always go to the top, so you really want to make sure that every single one's working. So for example, this one here that you're seeing right near the edge, the one where I left the sign, it's not going to be working fully because it's not a full complete chamber, if that makes sense. So we need to go ahead and put a sign, if I can get through, that is. Yeah, we need to go ahead and put a sign just here for that to get working, and then that should make that work super fine. Again, you might need to just replace the soul sand at the bottom if it doesn't work. Again, I always find that works. Just replace the soul sand and it should work super fine. Alright, so we've actually managed to get 4 mob spawners, all linked up via the water, and which was pretty good. I didn't think that would be able to be done at first, but like I said, if you put your brain to it a little bit, I was going to say use your brain, but you're obviously using your brain all the time. Like I said, it might like hurt your brain a little bit just to work out where all the water and the direction of the water, but as soon as you know that, as soon as you can get all those mobs siphoning into one, like I said, it's pretty simple, to be honest with you. So now we can actually work on our single spawners. So what we've got to take into account, one of these spawners is actually for spiders. So we're going to have to make a 3 wide spider spawner. This one right here, I believe it's a zombie one. So we're actually going to go ahead and work on the spider one first, because there's a little bit more work that's going to go into that. In fact, I think this one was the spider one. So we're going to work on this one. Again, we don't want to take them into the same bubble column that we just made. So we're going to have a completely new bubble column. And you probably want to think about the direction of where your kill chamber is as well, and when you bring this bubble column up. Obviously, we don't want to go backwards into the other spawner, because we could potentially hit more spawners. So we really want to bring this out just so it's clear from any other spawner. And obviously, it's not going to interfere with any of the other water that we just placed, and it's obviously not going to break any of the other water streams. So, like I said, I'm just going to basically clear out where we want to siphon these mobs into. So when it comes to a single spawner, it is really pretty simple. Again, we've put signs on that gap, so none of the water is going to flow backwards. And then we can basically go ahead and make this like a normal water spawner. So we're going to place 1 bucket of water in each side, 1 in the middle, and then 1 bucket of water in the middle of both of those, well, all 3 of those water that we just placed, just basically so it's solid like that, and it comes into a straight line. So from here, what you can do is actually basically just do what we did before, but it's going to be a lot more simple. When you're working just with 1 spawner, it's going to be so much more simple. The water's going to flow exactly how you want it. So I'm just going to remove all these blocks that we need to remove, and I'll show you exactly what I remove very soon. Again, make sure you give yourself enough room if you're working with spiders. Okay, so I've spawned a few cave spiders just to double check that we can actually get all these siphoning in. So they obviously spawn down like so. So if we put a bucket of water in each of these corners, they should all get siphoned into this chamber right here, and it looks pretty good to me. Again, I can't see any source of buckets of water. Again, remember, we don't want any source blocks of water, because if we have a source block of water, we are going to have problems. That's where the mobs are going to sit on top, and we really don't want that. As you can see, all the water is flowing into our bubble column chamber, well, what will be our bubble column chamber. So I'm just going to go ahead and kill all these, because these are going to get in the way. And again, we can just go ahead and replicate the other bubble column that we did before. So again, all we're going to need to do is simply, we're going to need to get ourselves some walls again, and obviously we're going to need some signs and our soul sand. So we don't need to take this very far this time, because we know that this is not going to hit any other of our bubble columns or any other water. So just double check that you're not going to hit any water. We're going to place 3 stone walls in there, and then this is the exact area right here where we're going to take our bubble column up. Again, we don't need to go very far back this time, purely for the fact we've got no other spawners blocking our direction. Now, this might be different for you depending on what kind of spawner you're using. Again, remember, if you are working with spiders, you definitely want to do a 3 wide bubble column. This is like a must do, because then obviously you can get your spiders to exactly where you want them to be. So yeah, definitely do a 3 wide bubble column. Okay, so once you've dug all the way to the surface, you just want to make sure that you've got it obviously proper sealed up, make sure there's no leaks anywhere, and then you can go ahead and place your water. Remember, double check that these bubble columns work, because the last thing you want is you come to the end of the build and then one of your bubble columns is not working properly. So make sure you really double check that all of the bubble columns that you're creating work perfectly. Again, if they do not work, go ahead and remove the soul sand and replace it. So we are now on our final spawner out of 6, which is pretty good going, to be honest with you. So what I would do for this one, because it's just a zombie one, we're just going to do a single bubble column. Now again, I would probably advise doing a 3 bubble column, purely for the fact that the 3 bubble columns really stop that traffic. And what I mean by traffic, they all get jammed up sometimes in these single ones. However, I did want to show you this just in case this is how you prefer to do it. However, like I say, the more efficient way is definitely by doing it a 3 wide bubble column, because they get less jammed up, and to be honest with you, the traffic slows down a little bit because they actually push each other into this 3 wide one. However, if you're just using a single one like this, I mean, what I'll do, instead of placing a wall, I'll definitely place a bit of ice, because so for example, I've just placed a piece of wall. What I would do, like I said, is place a piece of ice just before our soul sand. This gives the mobs like a bit of less grip when they get pushed into it. However, if you're using a 3 wide one, you won't need that little bit of ice, if you get what I'm saying. So again, you want to make sure that your column is completely sealed up, no gaps. Like obviously this one goes into a mine shaft, so we want to make sure that all of this is linked up like so. Right, so basically, once you've dug all the way to the surface for your single bubble column, again, I'd advise to do it a triple bubble column, but I'm just doing this for speed, so you guys can see really both ways how you could potentially do this. Again, you want to put 3 signs. You don't want to remove that sign I just did. If you do, this exact thing will happen. So again, I've missed out a little bit of a chunk here. So again, make sure you've got a fully sealed up bubble column, also it's just literally not going to work. Again, we can place our water at the top and make our way back down just to double check. Now obviously, if you're doing this in survival, you're not going to be able to come back down once the bubbles come up, so you want to obviously do the sign step first. Make sure you've got everything in there done before you actually go up to the surface, because it's going to be a little bit more difficult coming down in survival. But obviously I'm in creative, and like I said, I'd probably use a piece of ice here, because the mobs will get a little bit less traction. So after that, you want to go on all 6 spawners, or however many spawners that you've got, and make sure to place a half slab on top of every single one of those. This is going to prevent the mobs from spawning on top of the spawners. So now we can work a little bit on the top, where our bubble columns are all going to meet and come together to our kill chamber. So I'm just clearing a little bit of area near where I want to funnel down our mobs. So as you can see, these red markers here using the red glass, that's where our kill chamber actually is. So like you see, I'm just removing a very slight amount of earth just to make it a flat area. Again, you can then go and clear out your entire kill chamber chute. So obviously, depending on how wide you want it, you might need to adjust this as well. Now I'll tell you what I mean by this. So obviously you can see I'm just making this a 2x2. Now I realized that when I start linking all the bubble columns up, this would actually be a lot better being a 2x3, purely for the fact where this bubble column comes up, it lines up, but you'll see that very soon. So next step, what you want to do is bring these bubble columns all the way up to where your kill chamber is going to be. So you want to make sure they're all around the same area. Again, you'll see what I mean in a sec. Just bring all these up so they're all around the same height. Again, you want to do this to every single one. Okay, so what I'll do from here is start marking out my kill chamber. This will give you a good idea of where your bubble columns actually meet up. Now, you can see that this one is pretty much, I wouldn't say bang on, but if we made our kill chamber one more wider, we can actually have this going straight into our kill chamber, and that is going to make this job a hell of a lot easier. So you really want to think about what's going to make your life easier, because, for example, we don't just want a 2 gap there, or else they're going to get jammed up from this triple bubble column that we've got here. So I think what I'm going to do is obviously remove any of this access, and then we can actually make our kill chamber one wider. Like I said, this is going to save us so much more work in trying to get this water to flow down into a two slot gap, instead of we could just literally have a 3 wide chamber. So again, you want to, just like I said, destroy any unnecessary blocks that you don't really need. And like I said, it's going to save us so much time and effort just by removing these blocks, making our kill chamber just literally one wider. Again, like I said, so much time is going to be saved here. You don't understand. So it's really worth thinking about the direction your mobs are coming from, and just having a look where the bubble columns are going to meet. See if there's an easy way around it, because, you know, sometimes you don't want to be messing around with all that water. So now we've literally got a straight line, as you can see, coming into our kill chamber, which is exactly what we want, making it as simple as possible. You can see I've already added some water from one bubble column, and all they're doing is going into our main one, and that's exactly what I'm going to do for this zombie one. I'm just going to bring it into the main line. Again, you want to make sure that any of these are full. I mean, I've got mine all exposed just so I could find them and go into them really easily, but you want to just make sure they're all full as well. So at this point, all I'm going to do is literally like block up the water here. Again, this is going to obviously make our zombies flow into this main chamber that we've created in the middle. So all we're going to do here is simply place a couple of signs, which is going to prevent that water from flowing any further. But again, it's going to let the zombies go straight through those signs, so that's not to worry. And again here, as you can see, the water that I put in the main chamber, it actually it doesn't flow all the way where we need it to flow. So all you want to do, if this does happen, just to extend that water flowage a little bit, basically all you need to do is make it go down one more block, so it comes down exactly like I'm doing, really. So we're just going to remove all these blocks, place some blocks here, and then we're going to remove those blocks, place some blocks on the side so the water doesn't flow out anywhere. You want to remove the blocks that the water's sitting on, and then obviously it will flow out a little bit further, and then obviously block your kill chamber up with some signs so the water doesn't flow down your kill chamber. So from here, you can simply go and make sure that this is all sealed up so it's all completely dark, because when your obviously mobs come up the bubble columns, you don't want them to get affected by any light whatsoever. So now we can go into our kill chamber. Everything is going to get siphoned into these 6 blocks here. So what I would simply do is, a bit like I've got in Simply Survival, I would simply get some trapdoors and literally make a little like blockage so the mobs can't like physically come out of the kill chamber. Again, you might need to adjust the height of the kill chamber just by simply adding some half slabs. It really depends on where your spawners are and how far you've got them dropping. Now, if you've got them dropping further than 21 blocks, they are going to die. So remember, you don't want to really drop them any further than 21 blocks. So in addition to this, the spiders will keep climbing the walls. So to prevent that, what you can actually do is add some stairs. Again, I'll show you that very soon. But basically, we've switched over now to hard mode, and as you can see, this thing is getting pretty full already. Literally, this was from about 5 minutes of AFK. So another vital thing that I'd definitely do when you're building a big multiple like farm like this, obviously we have got mobs spawning, but we just want to double check through the whole system that there's nothing getting trapped or blocking it up, preventing those mobs from coming through. Again, you can see that the spiders are automatically dying, so I'm just going to add these buttons so they don't try and climb any higher. I mean, I don't know if it's fully going to work, but Basically, what the spiders will do is they'll drop down into the kill chamber, and then because there's just like walls around them, they will naturally go to climb up those walls. And then obviously when they get to the top, they're going to hit the some upside down stairs, and basically they're going to fall down again. So they're taking double the amount of damage. But as you can see here, I'll show you what I mean about those stairs. Basically, if you're using a spider spawner and you've got some spiders climbing up the walls like so, we've got loads of mobs in here. This is looking really good. Again, like I said, it's worth checking around just to make sure that there's no gaps, you've missed any places of blocks. So, as we've seen at the beginning, we had those spiders, and we got another one here, perfect timing. So, if you want to prevent a spider from climbing up, like so, all you're going to need to do is simply place some stairs. Now, when they actually hit those stairs, they're actually just going to, like, simply just fall straight back down. And you can do this for every bubble column that is pushing spiders up from. So you won't need to do this with skeletons or zombies, but just for spiders, make sure you put those stairs in. Again, this is crazy. Again, this has been literally another 5 minutes, and we've got so many mobs. That is literally basically the end of the tutorial. I'm sorry it went on for quite some time. However, I just wanted to make sure they had enough information. And of course, I did want to show you guys how to do this. Yeah, you might need to sort out your kill chamber a little bit better than I have. Again, we've still got spiders that are able to come through. But nonetheless, this thing is super OP and super powerful. We're going to get so much XP from this. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I will catch you on the next one.